Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Jun, and I'm a postdoc in Dr. Amin's group at IUPUI. And I will talk about the first principles calculation and experimental study of the intrinsic spinor effect in lanthanum strontium manganese oxide. I will call this material as LSMO from now. So these are three main research I will talk about. So we performed ab initio transport calculation of spinor effect in LSMO, which is on the order of 10 Siemens per centimeter. And experiments show the evidence of inverse spin-Hall effect in LSMO or LSMO and platinum bilayer. And in experiment, our collaborators extracted the spinor conductivities of LSMO films, and the values have reasonable agreement with our theoretical calculation results. So I will talk about our motivation first, and then we'll move on to calculation of spin-Hall effect in LSMO. And finally, I will compare our results with experimental results. So the spin-Hall effect is well studied in heavy metals like platinum or tantalum, and it is also well studied in transition metal ferromagnets theoretically and experimentally. However, there is no theoretical studies for LSMO, and our collaborators show that in LSMO platinum bilayer, uh, they show signatures of inverse spinor effect, which is reported in this paper. And now, for non-magnets, the spinor conductivity tensors are non-zero when the directions of spin current and applied electric field and spin polarization are mutually orthogonal. And that non-zero components has only one single unique value. However, in ferromagnets, since a lower symmetry, they allowed the different, they have more unique values, right? So basically, we have three unique values in ferromagnets, depending on the magnetization. So I will just plot or show you in these three unique values, depending on the magnetization direction. So I will talk about how to calculate the spinor effect in LSMO. We'll start with the crystal structure of lanthanum manganese oxide or strontium manganese oxide. And we basically performed DFT calculation to obtain the electronic structures of them and platinum. And once we obtain the electronic structures, then we interpolate them into orbital bases using one-year function, our 1-year 90 package. And once we have the fine agreements between these two electronic structures from DFT and 1-year 90, then we used the Kubo's formula to calculate the spin-Hall conductivity tensors, where alpha, beta, gamma are the directions of spin current, applied electric field, and spin polarization. So here are the results basically. So we plotted here the crystal structure in Cartesian coordinates, and these are the three unique spin or conductivity tensors, and these are how these three spin current and electric field and spin polarization is how they are configured. And basically what I want to show is that calculated spin current conductivities are on the order of 10 Siemens per centimeter, whereas for the platinum it is on the order of 1,000 Siemens per centimeter. And so now I will talk about the experimental results from our collaborators. One common way to generate the spin current from experiment is spin pumping. So in this case, external AC signal makes the magnetic moment in ferromagnet oscillate, and that generates a pure DC current, DC spin current in heavy metal. And there are several methods to detect the spin currents indirectly. One is to measure the voltage from inverse spin Hall effect, because that means we have a pure DC spin current that will generate a charge current via inverse spin Hall effect, so that we can measure the voltage to detect the spin current. And another one is to observe the change in the Gilbert damping alpha when we place a heavy metal next to a ferromagnet, because the heavy metal acts as a spin sink, so that we have a the spin current will be dissipated in this spin sink, so that we have difference in Gilbert damping with and without the heavy metal. So now our collaborators have two sets of experiments. The left one is they measure the spin pumping voltage without and with heavy metal. And in this case, we have a big jump in spin pumping voltage without heavy metal and with heavy metal. Although there is a discrepancy between these two voltages and our calculation results, but to say, so basically, so the spin pumping voltage is proportional to the spin Hall conductivity of our system. So when we do not have any heavy metal, then we have a very small spin Hall conductivity. However, once we place a heavy metal, then the spin Hall conductivity will be dominated by the heavy metal, so that we can estimate that the spin pumping voltage with heavy metal will be much bigger than without heavy metal. That can be shown here, although there is some discrepancy. And the other experimental set is we actually varies the thickness of ferromagnet and extract the spin Hall conductivity in itself using these two sets of equation. And it shows that it also these values are much bigger than our theoretical results, but it's we although there's some discrepancy on that, but we have a reasonable agreement of these two results. So to conclude, we performed ab initio transport calculations using quantum espresso and 1U90. We obtained the spin-or conductivity of LMO and SMO, which are on the order of 10 cm per centimeter, and inverse spin-or effects experimentally detected in single layer LSMO spin pumping experiment, and expected spin-or conductivities of LSMO have reasonable agreement with our theoretical calculation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Jun, for your talk. This was quite fascinating seeing you go from the ab initio calculations to experimentally testing them. We have a question from Mingzhen.
Hello, Yunjun. Very nice talk. So I have a question of your DFT calculations. So I think in your model, you use LMO and SMO to do the calculation, but for the LSMO you describe in this presentation is have 33% doping of strontium. So have you ever tried to do like using that kind of doping level into your model?
We did not, since because of the symmetry, and if you want to dope lanthanum or strontium, then we need much bigger cell or supercell to calculate it, and then that might cause a computational problem. So
then how accurate is your model is if you are not using a large enough cell? Hi, Inji, are you still there?
Oh, did he freeze?
Right.
Maybe he froze. Well, I think here he is.
Actually did not consider this. Hello?
Hello? Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I'll stop your video so you can
Hello?
have a larger bandwidth. Or maybe.
Hello?
Here, now we can see it. Can hear you.
Why? Yeah, the internet is so bad here, I guess. Okay, so here we show the values of spinor conductivity, right? But all we can see is on the order of 10 cm per centimeter. So we just guess the spinor conductivity of LSMO